Hello everyone. So today we're going to talk about how to set the grid correctly, but also overall in how to set up the scale correctly. So what you want to do is to make sure that things are in the right place. Say that you have, for example, a cube that is 1 times 1 meters. You want to make sure that anything that you work within Maya or anything that you work within your 3D software, but also your game engine, everything is always in the right scale, right? So for example, here we've got but you want to make sure that things are, like say that you've got 10 artists in the same project. Everyone has to make sure that things are set correctly, because what happens is if someone makes a pot plant but it's huge and someone makes a car but it's really tiny, then whenever things are being put into the game engine, things will be like, oh, sorry, things are not in the right scale, right? And it also depends if you're playing the game third person, or if you're playing the game first person, or if you're playing game in virtual reality, or if you're playing the game from far away. You might need to scale things accordingly so they are visible to the player. Same goes with Unity here. So say with Unity, you might go game object, 3D object, a cube, right? In this cube here, even though it says to the unit of 1 to 1 to 1, this is 1 meter times 1 meter as well. So if I go back here, say that I create a box by default will also be to, this 100 units. This is by centimeters as well. So how do we set this up? So we're gonna do this in 3 stages. So stage number 1. So if we go inside of Unity, so this is the part that you go right click in here, grid options, and now in here we go, instead of 12 or 5, you go type in to have this is now 20 meters, which is, it might be a lot, that's okay. But then here, for example, you got, now let's do some maths here. So yeah, that's okay, that's a bit better. And then with the subdivisions here, you can do 2. So if I type in 2, it's going to be divided by half. So now if I press apply, and you can also change the axis here, so you can make the origin red, so that's the center. And then you can say the subdivisions is maybe, yeah, let's do something like that, apply. You see how everything has gone a lot bigger all of a sudden? So if I close this now this is 1 meter. So if I go now and I put a cube, I press T for edit, I go 100 times 100 times 100. The trick that I like to do is I usually like to have height baseline here activated, and then I press that to -1. So now that's sitting exactly in the pivot point. So this is the first thing you should do. Whenever you're doing a game asset for a prototype or a game, you should first export a cube and see if that matches to this cube here inside of Unity or inside of Unreal to something like this, right? So okay, cool, so this is now matching and I know this is working in the environment. I'm gonna do one more thing. So I'm gonna do a cube, but also gonna do a little character. So I'm gonna go press here in the counter browser, and inside of here where it says animals, bipeds, inside of modeling, I'm going to double click in the human body. And I'm also going to export this out for scale. So I'm going to go here now. Select on this guy here, file, export selection. I'm going to pick somewhere. Sure, that's fine. I'll just do it here for now. Call this SM for static mesh underscore human scale. It doesn't, you can call it whatever you want, but I want to make sure that's nice and easy. Pay attention that whenever I export anything, the 0 origin will always be where the pivot point is. This is very important. Whenever you export anything, the pivot point has to be exactly the 0 origin. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems with both Unity, but also with Unreal. So now I'm just going to move this out of the way because I've already exported this fella. And now I'm going to do the same for the cube to have the right scale. So now that I've got this cube here, I'm going to do the same, call this cube SM underscore, I should have done that here as well, underscore cube test, cool, and export that out. Export selection, call this static mesh underscore cube test. Okay. And I'm going to do that for the human very quickly. Okay. So now that we got this too, I'm going to go first in here because it's nice and easy. I'm just going to have a new folder called models. And I'm gonna import in here, import new asset, and I'm gonna go to that location where I've got everything there. I'm gonna import these 2 guys, import, okay. And now if I drag this in here, you should have, cool, so that's now. Just want to see if that we can do snappy with this. Is this snappy on? Not on. Ah, so now it's working, cool. So we got that snapping there. Let's go drag this guy here, and we got the cube. And I think what's important to know is both cubes the same size? And they are. Okay, that's the most important thing that you have to test. The next part that I would test is to do the exact same. Let's say we got obstacles here, so I'm gonna put it in here. You know what? I might as well upload it for scale purposes. So I'm gonna say the same import current folder, and I'm gonna find that same two assets. So I've got the cube and scale. Right, and the reason why you do this is because sometimes you might put the wrong settings in here, import it, and it'll be like uniform scale might be wrong, or something might be wrong, and then you'll be like, oh no, actually this is not actually importing correctly. So you do it for different reasons. And now if I bring that cube in there, boom, it is the right scale and the right size. And now if I go in here and I import that character, then I know that, yeah, that's the right scale. Yeah, just like I said earlier, however, we have to make sure that whenever selection mode here, like whenever you select this, you have to also test to see that, yeah, it is in the right position, the pivot point as well, and also the scale of the cube. Yeah. Okay, cool. So here we go. So this is essentially also a tutorial on how to import assets as well, but also how to set up the grid correctly here, grid options in here. I think this is, I recommend the settings. It's nice to have it half. Whenever you're doing modular assets, the other thing that I recommend is work in twos, always work in twos. So say, for example, if you've got a wall in here and you want to make a wall from a dungeon or something that like that repeats several times, I recommend that holding down X. That's now like 2, 2. Maybe you would say like 3, for example, and say that you do something really fancy in here. Let's say that you connect this to, and let's say that you got a couple of lips in here. So select this too, connect. So we got that here, and say that, yeah, we got something like that screws there, and that's like a medieval castle kind of thing. Quick. Yeah, make sure that you got modulars, like you're repeating things in 2s or 4s or 8s. So then if this has to be repeated, I'm going to repeat this in the correct pivot point. If I duplicate this now, it goes here, and then I can just make it infinite, but it would always fit in the same grid. I'm duplicating that with Shift-D to duplicate with transform. So if I want to go infinite, I could just like smash that button like there's no tomorrow, and it will just keep on going, right? And yeah, this is essentially how you should be working. Let me know if you guys need to learn anything. I'm doing this video for my students at my work, but it's nice for them to have a video. I'll see you guys around, and yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye.